لا حول
حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله.
لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله أحمده واستعينه واستهديه واستغفره وأؤمن به جل وعلا ولا أكفره وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, fa inna asdiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatu taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayrul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran wa khayrul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhdatatuha wa asanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa amma alama dalalatul ba'da al-huda wa khayrul amali ma nafa'a wa khayrul hadi ma utba'a wa shayrul amma al-kalb. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, or the book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. That means guarding and protecting. In fact, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was asked, what is this taqwa? He said, what would you do if you were in a very rocky and dangerous and thorny place? He said, I would draw my clothes close to me and walk very carefully. And that's what taqwa is about this life, drawing your life close around yourself and being very cautious and careful about what you do in this life, because that was a time when we were not. That was a time when we are now, and that will continue forever. Now you got to understand, while we're here now, what we're doing here now, it don't stop. Whether you believe it or not, whether you understand it or not, this reality that we're living now, or this personality, it'll just transform to another personality, but that personality that we become in the future will be based on how we lived in this life, right? So we're going to be here forever now. I mean, from now on. I know it don't sound like it, but look, it's a long time. Forever, it don't even describe long time. That's why we should be so cautious and so careful about what we do now. It means so much. It's unbelievable what it means. What we do now, this what we doing every day, cruising around, it means everything. No matter what it means now, just imagine that you're not going to die in the future. You're going to get a new body. If you go into one place, you're going to get a body that can stand the rigors of hell. This body couldn't stand the rigors of hell. Because that body talks about when it burns on, that body is going to be able to come back. When this body burns, serious burning, it's gone. It's just go puff as ashes. That other body is going to be able to be burn and burn and burn and burn and come back. And you try to cool it down drinking something and it's going to be hotter than whatever. That's serious. That's a new body. This body cannot stand that. Right? Then there's another body that can stand the pleasures of the next world. No eye have seen it, no ear have heard it. It haven't even entered our ability to comprehend that next life. The good part of it. This body couldn't stand that. This body can only stand so much. Even we used to be in a business that it had all kind of things in it. And one of the things that you acquire is a knowledge of things like speed, water, crank, but you can only take so much crank. It speeds you up so far, then you go into a nod. That's what crystal meth, you can't keep going. You get so far and then it turns into a sedative, right? Now imagine you're going to get a body that, let's call it ecstasy or that next life. It's going to be nice. It can stand pleasures that we can't even talk about now. It's unbelievable. So, taqwa is very important, to be a muttaqi. The best community is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best of acts are the ones that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people will be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmaru bil-adli wal-ihsani wa-itai dhul-qurba wa-yanha nil-fashai wal-munkari wal-bagi ya'ithakum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. And He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. Wa taslimu bihablillahi jamiyan wa la tafarraqu. And hold fast all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. Kuntum khayra umatin ukrijat lil nasi tamaruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best peoples ever evolved or raised up for mankind, enjoining what is right and forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By the English meaning, whether we shall show thee within thy lifetime part of what we promised them, or take to ourselves thy soul before it is all accomplished. Thy duty is to make the message reach them. It is our part to call them to account. See they not that we gradually reduce the land in their control from its outlying borders. Where Allah commands, there is none to put back his command, and he is swift in calling to account. Those before them did also devise plots, but in all things the master planning is Allah. He knoweth the doings of every soul, and soon will the unbelievers know what goes home in the end. This is admonition by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, whether we show you in this lifetime part of what we have promised them, or take to ourselves thy soul before it is accomplished, thy duty is to make the message reach them. It is our part to call them to account. Wa alayna al hasibu. It means an accounting or accountant, or hasib is an accountant. So it's not your job, it is not my job to keep account in a system of management, to keep account of everybody's daily doings. That's not our job. And if it wasn't the prophet, peace be upon him, job, you know it's not you and I's job, right? So, but we have to understand what Allah is saying. Whether we show you in your lifetime the things that we've been discussing in the Quran, in this revelation, or whether we delay it for a period, or we give them a little extension of time, right? The communication of this message is your job. That's all you have to do. You are a messenger. You have to deliver the message. You don't have to make nobody do nothing. You don't have to use up all your energy feeling bad because, of course, he's the prophet, he's a messenger, and he wants his people and humanity to be rescued from the fire. That's all right. But you don't lose too much energy worrying about whether the message is received or not. You keep up the process of delivering that message, and we will take care of everything else, just like we've been doing all along, right? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. when it gets to the part, see they not that we gradually reduce the land in their control from its outlying borders, where Allah commands there's none to put back his command, and we're swift in calling account. This is like the process of history. In the process of history, we've seen great empires rise and fall, and we notice in the Quran there are great empires again rising and falling, and so we see that process. So now, when we see those things happening in our own life, that's what we're seeing now. The point I want to get to is we want to explain a little bit of what's happening with you and I right now. So it's not our job to do certain things, but there are things that we are called to do. We want to talk a little bit about the daily process of drip, 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 drip in the news and what it means. Because it means something to America. America is on a decline. All systems, whether they're colonial, neo-colonial, whether they're imperial, right, or what have you, they have a life, there's a shelf life. Egypt had a shelf life. All the historical societies had a shelf life. There's nobody that came into being and they held power or sway throughout the whole process of history, right? All over the world, this is the most constant reality. Whether it was on this side of the world, whether it was tribal Apaches holding some power, right? Whether it was the Aztecs down in Mexico, right? Mexico City at one time in the old days had over 500,000 people there. Whether it was the Hanging Garden of Babylon, whether it was the Inca Empire down in Peru where they wore gold necklaces just as trinkets. And the Spanish came there and went crazy. And so in the Inca writings, I was reading down there in Peru, they were saying, what do they do with this gold? You know what I mean? The things that they were wearing as trinkets, the Spanish came from Spain and they stole so much gold from the Incas that some Spanish galleons sunk in the harbor in Lima, Peru. They loaded them up with so much gold. Because, see, they had a different reality. And so whether it was Cortez in Mexico, whether it was any of the great ancient empires, we call them big empires, not great, they transformed. Change is the only constant, one of the constants in this world. Change. So empires have a change. Once the Pharaoh was the greatest human reality, right? The Persians conquered them for a while. Somebody conquered the Persians, right? And you can read about it in the Bible and Quran and all throughout history. Ghulibatu Rum, the people up there, then had a victory over our friendly people, but just hold on a minute. That was the Persians and the Romans. Just hold on a minute. They're going to come back, talking about the Christians, and they're going to have it out with the Persians again, and they're going to win that. Don't worry about the Muslims coming 20 years later and knock the whole show. All right. See they not that we gradually reduce the land in their control. I want to try to be brief. America right now is in a big problem. But America's decline there's a managed decline going on for America. The managed decline is the Zionist state of Israel. Historically, they know that America is in a decline. But if you see all this foolish stuff happening and you see this is bad for America, well, of course it is. Why? Because somebody wants to domesticate America, like a cow. You get the milk from a cow, right? Or domesticate an animal. The animal works. You domesticate chickens. They lay eggs for you. All of those things. You domesticate something. The Zionists have domesticated America. Now, how do you use America? How is it domesticated? In recent history, there was a war in the Middle East. It was called the Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988. Everybody, Egyptian pilots, technicians, Sudanese mercenaries, Jordanian regulars, everybody joined with Iraq to beat Iran. Everybody. They got poison gas from Germany. They got chemical weapons from everywhere. And they got T-72 tanks from Russia. Man, they got Exocet missiles from France. They got everything they needed. Why? Because it was important for the West and parts of the Middle East that Iran be destroyed. Well, they didn't destroy Iran. Iran survived. MashaAllah, it survived that 8-year war. On the Fao Peninsula in 1988, they was almost throwing rocks at Iraqis. They didn't have no... It was so bad, they was using poison gas in Basra, another place, and they couldn't even get, like you have a smoke detector, you know, in your house. They have little gadgets on the battlefield that detect poison gas, and it goes off. It gives you a warning, there's poison gas here. They couldn't even buy those from Yugoslavia in those days and other places. But they were being bombarded with poison gas. And on top of that, in Basra, it's 120 degrees. Actually, it's 125 sometime, it's 122 almost all the time. You look at the, you know. So they have goggles, and then they have the plastic gear that they would wear for poison gas. You can't wear it. You put it on for 2 minutes and it's so hot, you would rather face the poison gas than the heat. You know what I mean? Anyway, after that war, Iraq was left with a big army, powerful army. And so the Israelis felt insecure. During the war, they bombed a nuclear plant in a nuclear facility in 1982 in Iraq to make sure they didn't get any nuclear weapons. Anyway, so Iraq has a big army, and that big army was a threat to the Zionist state. Therefore, America engineered, we call it the second Gulf War, 1991, 92, all that period. Because Iraq has a huge army, big enough to defeat the Israeli state. And they got all the modern weapons of that time to fight against the Iranians. So the Zionists devised a plan. And with Saudi Arabia, which you can see Saudi Arabia and all those people are friends of the Zionist state. Then and now, but then you didn't know it. So they told Kuwait, they told Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia gave at least $50 billion to Iraq, and Kuwait had gave, let's say, $33 billion, something like that. They say, hey, now they know who they're dealing with. Saddam is one of them old-time tough guys, and he's egocentric. So they tell him, hey, now that the war's over, you can give us our money back. And he looked at them like they little bitty pencil-necked, cowardly, rich, flabby Arabs. And he said, I fought this whole war for you guys. You want me to pay you back? Thus, we have the invasion by Saddam Hussein, plus slant drilling, here's Kuwait, here's Iraq, drilling sideways and stealing Iraqi oil. This is not nice, So Iraq invades. And they won't leave, therefore they have to invite the United States to come and rescue them. What does the United States come and do? It destroys the army of Iraq. Think about it. Think about what they was doing. They was destroying all the tanks. They was destroying all the certain facilities, right? Then they told the Shia community to rise up. As soon as they rose up, they let them get slaughtered by Saddam. So it was a trick. Everything was in there is a trick. Get the Shias to rise up, but don't defend them. Get the Kurds to rise up in the north, don't defend them, right? And therefore, they leave Saddam with helicopters and all the things he needs to keep his population intact. Then we come up to a closer time. So the U.S. again, 2003, right? March 20th, invades Iraq again. They actually become the governor, they governing the whole place. It's like now Iraq is a colonial reality. Why did they do that? Because the Israelis were still uncomfortable with Iraq and it's too powerful. So the United States have to send their children over there, right, to die. And let's say they kill 500,000 or 1 million, all those big numbers in Iraq. In the first war, they used depleted uranium, and they killed, we don't know how many babies was born with 2 heads and half a body, but that was depleted uranium. It was terrible. Not only did it affected them, but the women who was in the war over there and they came back here, some of them down in Texas and other places, they had the same symptoms and the same type of babies in this country that the women had in Iraq. Birth defects everywhere from depleted uranium. I'm going to speed up a minute, but you have to understand there's a process that's going on. In that war, the United States did not win that war. The United States technically lost that war, but it destroyed all of Iraq in the meantime. The war was for the Israelis. That means the Israelis are using the Americans to do their dirty work. All the things that's happened in America recently is all the result of the Israelis. Well, Saudi Arabia, right? The triangle of terror. Saudi Arabia, the Americans, and the Zionists. But the one that's running everything, especially now, is the Zionist. What is it happening here then that the Zionists are manipulating and controlling? Let's talk about the police. When you see the police car going by with the lights flashing for the last 10 years, that's the way they do in Israel. right? So Israel has been affecting policing in America for a long time. If you look at the policing in America now we can't tell a whole lot difference, but other people can. It's Zionist style. When the policeman up in Minneapolis had his knee for over 8 minutes on our brother's neck, that was Zionist style policing. They're going to kill him publicly with you didn't see no expression, no nothing on his face. And the other policemen who know it's wrong are not doing anything, and the other people are afraid because the police will shoot you in America. Now, more than when I was young, you used to could fight police. Try it nowadays. Try and fist fight with a police. Hey, when you raise your hand, you're a dead man, a dead girl, a dead child. I don't care whether you're 12 years old, 5 years old, you do that here in America, you're gone, right? With our color. So what's the policing about? They have studied. That man was almost hired to do that job because the Israelis knew that this man loves to shoot and hurt black people because he's been brought up on charges 17, 18 times, right? They already knew that. So that's the man they want to do the job that he did. Why? Because the Zionists are going to create the environment in America, but they're going to manipulate the whole environment. No matter what goes on, they're going to manipulate it because they feel like this about America. America is falling, but if we can control its collapse, we can manipulate this big America for ourselves, right? And how they going to do it? Chaos. Like right now in Israel, they have chaos, man. They got Netanyahu been going to court for I don't know how long, but it makes no difference. You know why? Because America has more chaos than Israel. How does the math work? It works just like this. If you want to control America, manipulate America, then you do things that's going to cause chaos in America. What do you mean? Well, you kill a black man and kill him so ruthless that the whole country have to rise up. And when they rise up, you got the media, right? You got all that going. So you're going to have everything going your way. So you're going to have the people rise up, but they're not going to have a purpose. We went to many demonstrations downtown when they were here. And we went out and our main discussion was something we used to have quite some time ago, and it was teach-ins. Teach-ins, we took our little speaker, we out there talking that if you're going to have a demonstration, right, you should know why we're here. What's the goal of being here, right? How are we going to carry the demonstration? We're going to be violent, nonviolent, right? Suppose somebody go and snatch something or burn something. What are we going to do? Number one, we're going to close ranks and tell them, you can't come running back in here. You didn't go and burn something down, right? And then going to run back and hide with us. We're here for a peaceful demonstration. Did you notice all the people, every family said, we want peaceful demonstrations. One lady said, we're praying for the police. We're praying for the people and we're praying for our family, right? That's what they said. So you didn't hear any families of demonstrators demanding violence. Well, where did violence come from? They team. They team. And then, what do you mean they team? Well, let's look at their team. let's look at old Don. How did Don get in there? Just to back up a little bit. They wanted somebody to have a certain character that they could control. So years ago, they watching the TV and everything, and then they're studying Don. They said, Don is flat broke. He ain't got a dime. And if he didn't have, because people run the TV, kind of get an idea, we want you to do this, and they see how he's using his money and what have you. So Don don't have no money. Hollywood knows it. Who's controlling Hollywood? Right? His program. So here's what they say. They say, well, Don, what kind of character is Don? Don is arrogant, self-centered. He has all the characteristics of somebody they need, right? That they need. This is the Israelis. Remember, the Israelis have all the information that's going on here in America and basically everywhere else. Mossad is deadly. All the phones you use, all that stuff they're talking about, we don't want it to get out. They got all of it over there. They got all of it. The Israelis do. So they say, all of a sudden, you see Don's daughter marry Kushner, an Israeli. And when you see Kushner now, you say this guy was 35. What the heck does he know about anything, right? Makes no difference. He already been put there. Put there to what? Marry Don. How? Marry Don's daughter. Keep an eye on Don. And the Israelis will tell him what to do. All this stuff. What he always going to the Middle East for? Because he's told to go there. And they got it already hooked up with the Uncle Tom Arabs, right? That's going to cooperate with them against the Palestinians, right? So what do? See, Don is such a actor that he will do exactly what they tell him. So they needed somebody to cause division in America. Because it's a big country, right? If it's unified, it can defend itself, it can take care of its business. But America has to be disunified. What does Don do? Don come in, Kushner's there with his daughter, right? The Israelis is telling them what to do. The first thing he do, send the embassy, right? From Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And he cut off the millions of dollars that the Palestinians got from the UN and everything, right? That's what he did right away. The biggest sin or crime of the Democrats, that is, if you take Saudi Arabia and the Israelis, was that when Obama signed that nuclear joint comprehensive plan of action, JPC, or whatever it is, right? The Israelis hated that. You saw it in the newspapers every day. Saudi Arabia hated it. Because you got two powers in the Middle East that hates Iran. Who is it? It's Saudi Arabia, right? And the Israelis. So the Israelis don't want don't want Iran to evolve, but it's evolving anyway, right? Saudi Arabia don't want it to evolve because Saudi Arabia is Wahhabis and all other kind of dumb stuff, right? And the richest Arab country in the world is killing the people en masse in the poorest Arab country in the world, right? Which is Yemen. Ain't nobody saying nothing about it. That means you got to be in tight with the Israelis and the Americans to get away with anything like that. So now let's get back to the point. So now the world that we're living in, we have America being manipulated publicly by the Zionists to keep it weak, to keep it disorganized and disunified. And then, no matter what you say, the Israelis can get some things done in the Knesset, but here in the Congress, you can't get nothing done. And as civilizations go on the decline, there's a defeatist mentality and attitude to develop where they prevent themselves from doing any good for their own country. So the Congress can't solve a problem. Well, if a Congress want to fix bridges and highways, right, he could do it in his term, but his term going to be up. And the people going to be happy, not in his term, right, but 2 or 3 terms away in the future, right? So he can't, everything he got to get it now. This is bad not only for Congress, but it's bad for business because you cannot plan way ahead like the Chinese and others. You can't plan way ahead because you got to have instant gratification in order to stay where you are. The other thing is the control of Congress. And the media controls literally everything. Hollywood controls the rest in the West, especially in America. Hollywood do. And the Congress, what you going to get from Congress? Little or nothing. And then you stick Don in there. What does Don do? By the way, you can talk about black people all you want. You can say black people lazy, they don't do nothing. You can say that in America. You can say white people are racist. You can say that. Say something about Zionists. One word, I dare you. Say one word about any Zionist. I don't care whether he put on his shoes backwards, he stand on his head, live at the bottom of the sea. Say something about him and see what's going to happen to you. You're a Holocaust denier, you're anti-Semitic. They call the Arabs anti-Semitic. And Arabs cannot be anti-Semitic because all of them are children of Isaac, right? And Ismail and their father Ibrahim. So there's only 2 Semitic people in the world, Arabs, right? And Israelis, well, Jews. Now, let me straighten something out. We are not talking about Jews. We're talking about Zionists. The brothers here saw we was downtown, some demonstration, and the rabbis with the real Jews, I mean the ones that sit, they go by the Torah. So I was waiting for one. He looked, oh, what did he say? Our friend, right? And he told all other Jews, the young ones, this is our friend right here. So we are friends of Jews. I mean, the closer they are to the Torah, the closer we are to them. It's the Israelis, the Zionists, that's the problem, right? Just like the Zionists hijacked Judaism, they're trying to hijack the world right now. We're going to speed up. So now think about the world. We got Kushner here, married to Don. Don is messing up America, right? And Don, any other president, look at it, drip, 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 drip. Don, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Nobody else could even do any of the things that he do, but he get away with it over and over again. Everything he do is just enough so he don't get threw out, right? It used to be once, twice a month, then once a week. Now every other day. It's a super scandal. And he get away with it. Why? Because the Zionists want him there. That's his job, to divide America up. Now, America is not the same country that when we grew up. America is different. And America is not just the institutions in America are racist, the police department and all that stuff, right? But the people, you look at anything that happened. White folks come out like, oh, this is a picnic. We'll just walk up and down the street because Negroes will be there, and it's right? Some places there's more white folks than it is black people, right? Tell the truth. Constantly. And they're just, I didn't know that they did that stuff to y'all, right? They really didn't know. I mean, they just didn't know. So the institutions are racist, but the people are not as racist. Everything you see. Anybody seen a commercial lately? What is 65% of the commercials is what? White man, black woman, white man, right? And the kids is all mixed up, right? You can't see no 100% Negro in a commercial no more. Or darky. Tell me, go get one. They all frizzly haired, right? Everything is mixed and it's common. They're treating it like this is common. And the biggest group of people in America now, children, is mixed race. Now, it ain't that way around D.C. Go out to California. When you get to California, you know you're there. You know you're in California here. I mean, mixito, 100%. But anyway, so the institutions, and the people are starting to realize that the people are not the problem. The government is the problem. The government is the problem. So black people now know that, oh, Mexico or California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, right? All used to be Mexico. And the U.S. stole it. Black people know, especially in California. A lot of people out here still look at Latinos and, oh, they taking jobs. Well, they ain't taking no jobs because the Negro, a lot of times, I'm not pro anybody, but a lot of times the Negro won't work, tell the truth. When I came here, you know, with electricity, we had an old black company. And the guys working there was older guys that did our electricity. I say, well, how y'all doing now? I said, yeah, I heard y'all was, the people was helping us told us to get your company because you was the biggest and the oldest black electric company, you know, in D.C. He said, I was then. He said, now, he said, we had 12 trucks. And now we only got 2. And those were old guys. This is about 25 years ago. He said, I said, well, what happened? He said, the Negro didn't want to work. We had 12 trucks and plenty of work. You know how much you get in electricity. He said they come to work on Wednesday in the afternoon and want to get paid on Friday, full pay, and we couldn't continue. So one truck after another went away. And the guys who were still working was old. They was older than I was then. Anyway, so people are finding out. Let me go back to the problem here in America and to understand what's going on. America's in a decline, like all other systems. They have their heyday. And then they go into a decline. Israel is manipulated like a controlled implosion, you know. They feel like if you can control the implosion, you can control the thing. Just like if you work in the forest, you undercut a tree, and then you cut from the back. You can direct where the tree gonna fall, isn't that right? Everybody that's worked in the forest knows. It's called undercut, and then cut from the back, you know, chisel, not chisel, but you know what I mean. You put that wedge in there and it goes up, 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 and you can direct almost exactly where the tree is gonna fall. A controlled implosion, like 9/11 and the other implosions were controlled implosions. They blamed all of those on us, right? They blamed everything that happened in America on us. They blamed everything that happened in France and everywhere in the Western world on us. Therefore, they could oppress us, Muslims. Now, we got double trouble because not only we Muslims, but we black too. So that, I mean, you know, that technically mean you struck out. And when they would find Charlie Hebdo, the thing in France, why do all the guys, they leave IDs and telephones right there where they just supposedly blew up something and it all leads to so-and-so. I said, this is not, that's what they do. The World Trade Center back in '93, they done blew up the biggest building, 6 people dead, FBI office in the building blew up. Here's a dumb Arab at the desk, kicking the desk. I want my deposit back for the van that supposed to blew up the thing. And the lady that was renting to the people, Hosea Adas, she done zipped up and off to Israel she went, right? I'm just trying to tell you, we're living in a world that's manufactured against us. We're living in a world that's manufactured against us. But I got something else to tell you. That's a temporary world. So it says, do they not see that we bring the earth, diminishing it from its extremities? And Allah's decree, there is none to amend his decree, and he's quick in reckoning. And there did plot those before them. But Allah's is the plan altogether. He knows what everyone acquires. People in history had plans too. You think Pharaoh had a plan to finish himself off? No, he didn't. Nor did he give a speech to all the people telling, hey, we're gonna have a water experience a while, so don't y'all wear no heavy armor and everything. No, we're going out there and let's get them, right? Of course, they had on their nice heavy armor, and when the water came, it took them on down like they were supposed to. But his plan was to down the people, right? These people's plan is to control the decline of America and benefit off of it at our expense. That's what it's all about. That's why Kushner married Don's daughter, so he could be right there all the time. So he's used to go over to the Middle East. Why? Because the Zionists plan ahead. Mossad, what's their motto? By deception we rule. Everything Mossad does is deception. Isn't that right? Mossad is hooked up. And the proof is the first things that they did under Donald Trump was the things that Saudi Arabia and the Zionists hated. Tear up the treaty with Iran, right? Move the embassy, right, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Cut the feet and the neck and the throat of Palestinians, right? That's everything that they did. And here in America, the police departments that are influenced by the Israelis are now in charge, and that's why they're killing niggas the way they do with no compassion or nothing. Because the Israelis are treating us not like they Negro, but like Palestinians. Think about it. Why you think he can put his knee there all that time? Because it's influenced the police, the people from Israel, and hired them. And the police in Palestine, you can't build nothing here because they just stole the land. We can't let you have any cement, you'll build bunkers. We can't let you do nothing because you'll get, man, the people of Palestine are so strong, it's unbelievable. How they can take that for these last 70 years, I have no idea. I have no idea. But we with them. And I tell you another thing. If the control of Zionist progress in the world is stopped, have to be right here. And me and you have to do it. Oh, me and you have to do it. Well, you can't do nothing to the Zionists. It's not true. Every encounter we done had with the Zionists, we slap them around like they ain't nothing. Why? Because we Negroes and we're not afraid of them. Yeah. Think about it now. Everything you've seen at all the demonstrations we had a long time ago, we never buckled at any infiltration, sabotage, anything the Zionists did. And then we always coming up with something. Look, this is years ago. Victory of Islam over the Shah and victory of Masjid al-Islam over the combined forces of American Zionism. And what do we want to do when we want to make them mad? Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Do you know the first sign that was tore down in Oakland? Not the sign say Masjid al-Islam, but the sign that says the Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Because it's on the main street and people would drive and pull over and park and look at that sign, they'd be tripping. What does that mean? Then there's a lot of Arabs in Oakland on stores, so they would pull over. They said, the one thing they said, whoever that's a tough nigga over there. They knew who owned it. You know, there's our building. Said, boy, them niggas. One of the brothers came through here at a program. One of the big imams, this big Shia imam, biggest joint in Detroit. Looked like it came from Baghdad, the masjid. I knew his father and all his family. He said, the bravest man in America, and he kept walking. And I looked who was with him, a snitch from L.A. I didn't say, hold it, you got a snitch with you because he was snitching on us, so he's snitching on you. I didn't say that. I said, oh, okay. The Triangle of Terror, USA, the Zionist State of Israel, and Saudi Arabia. Right? And we got an old flyer over there with Sean Hannity on it. Now, you know if Sean Hannity is the advisor to old Don now, well, who the only Negro done slapped him around on TV? Me. And I had to hold back because you know what they say, if you get too out of hand, they said he was animalistic. You know, like they do a basketball player, they don't know how they do it now. They used to say, oh, Larry Bird, he's methodical, he's this and that. Then if it's one of us, they say, he's a natural athlete. He don't train enough. He just get up out of the bed, start, right? He's natural. But Larry Bird is a thinker, right? Tell the truth. He plans what he's doing. Niggas don't plan, that's natural. They don't even have to train. Them niggas get up out of the bed, floop, jump in their tennis shoe. They don't even tie them up. They just zoop in them and zoom, boom. You know, isn't that what they say? We're natural athletes. They don't say the guy plans and organizes and is systematic. That's what white folks do, isn't that right? They say the Negro, boy, the Negro. So that's what they say about speakers too. He's a natural speaker. You don't have to go to the library or now to go to the internet. You don't have to study. So when they called me to New York, everybody was saying, don't go to New York. First thing happened was, we'll send a car to pick you up. So that's fine. But there'll be an accompanied lady. I said, she between 25 and 35 years old and look pretty good. Yes. I said, I don't want her coming by here to pick me up, because how I'm going to tell any Negroes, I hate it, right? And we ride in New York on the train. I said, you have to sit over there, lady. I'm sitting over here. Because the Negro don't trust Negroes is sitting right next to it in those days. Anyway, so it's a little different now, who cares? But at that time, you was on your way to getting sold or tricked, and they're going to try to trick you. Because in those days, all Negroes just love this white lady's legs, how they can't hardly fit in the boot, them high boots, the big old calves. I said, no. No, ma'am, not the brother. Not that it's common, but it's natural. Man, there's so many tricks be going on that you can see 1% of them, but they be happening. Anyway, so we go up to New York, and the first thing old Sean Hannity said, well, I know you're going to say something controversial. Now, I just watched TV. Sami al-Arian from Palestine had just been tricked by them, and they gave him a case. Palestinian professor, a good friend of mine. Just by saying something controversial, because they the police, right? So I got up there, and one thing I know, I ain't going to say nothing controversial, like, you white folks, man, we going to blow y'all up. We going to, that's all that's the only reason they brought us up there, because they say, this is a loudmouth nigga. And we get this nigga up here, he going to give himself a case. Now, they do that all the time, but they learn their lesson. Y'all remember downtown, what was that press club? Who was that? Man, that was a big show. It was on C-SPAN. They put it straight on C-SPAN. 4 hours. Because they had the new Black Panther Party, and they heard how all of us talk. They said, we'll put these niggas on live. They'll hang themselves. You know what I mean? And we got on there, and we started with Usmaniya, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And they showed it again at 1:30. You can't find it on TV after that. Because we had too much sense. We was very systematic. Everybody had points to make, and it was very clear. It said we can't have that picture of Muslims anymore on TV. Go up there to New York, it was so strange and funny. Everybody thought, man, it's going to be tough on you up there. I said, tough? This is ridiculous. All the white folk, they dummies. They real dummies. But the people they bring on is dumber than they are. Have you ever noticed some Muslim on TV and you wish they would take him off? Right, man, you gotta sit, don't you know this? That's why he's on there. But you ain't seen me on no TV since I don't know when. You know what they was thinking? Well, we brought so-and-so on, and the next thing he was doing was playing Mendelssohn on the violin. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but ask anybody, they'll tell you. Mendelssohn, he was a Jew that became a Christian, they said. And there's one of the national Negro, you can figure out who I'm talking about now, plays the violin. And he said, Judaism is a gutter religion. Y'all remember that, I know. Well, it was back in the 80s, you probably wouldn't remember. Next thing, they gave me so much pressure. I was so afraid. This is National Negro. So the Negro got on there and playing the violin to show them that I'm in line. And you ain't heard nothing like that. So, you know how people be shaking their head playing the violin, playing Mendelssohn, right? I'm telling you, that's the power they have. And when you don't fit into that, so man, I don't know what y'all must be crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, they said, okay, we can't corrupt them. And guess what? We done let them go so long. Now we can't kill him in public, or they're going to study to find out why he was killed. That's the trap they in. That's why we're doing what we want to right now, and we're going to keep on doing it. We're telling you that the Israelis have caused all the trouble that you're having right now in America. Just believe that part. All the little other funny part that goes here and there, don't worry about it. They're trying and they're succeeding in dividing America and destroying America. Now, me and you, well, boss man ain't been too nice to us, I tell you. But boss man is not as bad as Israelis. You know, we was down at the Willard Hotel, me and one of the brothers from the Islamic Party, and when we're interviewed by American reporters, that was a time when, man, everybody from Deutsche Welle all over the world was coming here. So this group called me in California and said, we just want to have, we're an independent news organization, we want to interview you, da-da-da-da-da. That's when they was interviewing. You know, they don't interview nobody now because they said it ain't gonna work. So anyway, I went down to the Willard Hotel with the brother, and I said, I thought y'all was independent. I saw equipment all outside of 2 or 3 rooms. In the Willard Hotel, they got 4 or 5 rooms, so, and all that equipment. So I was saying, I say, y'all don't look independent to me. That mean, you know, independent means kind of not poor, but, you know, poorish and not all that stuff. Well, we're on hire. I said, oh, fine. So the white folks is there, got the earphones on, and I'm trying to figure out where they're coming from. Now, standard white folks, like if they're Americans, you know, especially if we're the same age, you're going to bring up some stuff. Yeah, man, so-and-so and them, you know, and then this happened. And oh, man, down in, one of them was here. He was talking about Virginia. He said, man, he was from Sacramento, California. He said, man, my relatives down here, when they talk about the Civil War, they talk about it like it was last week, right? And you know it's true. See, farther up you go, don't nobody remember nothing about the Civil War. Everybody, their family ain't. But down that way, when you go across the 14th Street Bridge, right, all them statues, everybody, my great uncle, he was Jeb Stuart's great so-and-so, and this one was that, and they still down with that, and he was telling me that. Then so I was trying to check these guys out, and I'd talk about something in the 60s, something in the 70s, and I couldn't get a smile out of them boys for nothing. Abdul Haq say, man, them guys is Israelis. Either they're not related, they don't know what we're talking about, or they're not, you know what I mean? I mean, not that we make white folks laugh, but you know, you got to find some way to figure out where they're at, you know. So anyway, yeah, he ain't laughing. He's not identifying, but we're in the same age category. Those was Israelis trying to trap us, I'm done to tell you that, look, America needs help right now. Big help. The people don't know what's going on. They think Don just won an election. How an ignorant man like that gonna win an election, right? Unless he got a whole system with him. And it just so happens that his son-in-law, Kushner, is flying over the Middle East. The Zionists put him in power years ago, and they had him marry his daughter because he was broke. Did y'all see the news? Don is 300-400 million, something like that, in debt. Right? So you can't have a position like that and owe that much money because you're a threat, you're a security risk. Right? Don is a security risk. Don's behavior is a security risk. Everything Don does is anti-American. Right? Anti-Muslim, anti-people of color. Why? To try to get us mad at each other, try to get us fighting each other. Don's boys, look, it's so ridiculous. What happened yesterday? The lady up there, the poor white lady, the governor up there, they go, suppose a nigga was going to kidnap President Obama, Osama, anybody during his administration, did anything that Don do one time, anything. We got to liberate, he's calling for the liberation of, what's the state up there? The liberation of certain states. Michigan, yeah, Michigan. Liberate Michigan. Got other white folks telling them stand down, stand back, or stand by. If I did that, you'd stand by in Leavenworth somewhere. Right? Tell the truth. You couldn't even do that. But Don can do it because that's Don's job. And there's enough people stationed inside of this Hollywood, Rupert Murdoch media scheme. Most of them are in it together. They're in it together. Now, what opportunity we have is you and I have an opportunity to reach out to American people. Remember, it's the Zionists that's bad. It's the Israelis that are bad. It's the Saudis, not the people of Saudi Arabia. Not the people, but you think those bums is Qadam al-Haramain? They usually say, we're the protector of the two holy shrines. What? You're the protector of America. You're a murderer. You can murder Yemenis day in and day out. And then when 9/11 happened here, what was it, 15 Saudis was on the thing, right? And they had the one in San Diego, they said, what was he doing before his martyrdom thing? Oh, he was getting a lap dance. Tell the truth. You're a Muslim. You're going to go to meet Allah in the morning. You're going to have a lap dance that night? Huh? Tell the truth. Is that what they do in Afghanistan? Is that what they do in Palestine? Is that what Muslims do, right? No. Who could leave America? I was in California when it happened. It was 2 or 3 weeks before I could come back. I had to get a bus to drive up to Oakland, to ride up to Oakland, because I couldn't fly back here. But people from Saudi Arabia could fly right back, right? So it's all hooked up. Saudi Arabia, right? The Zionists and the Americans. Right now, the Americans are manipulated and controlled by the Zionists. And we ought not to put up with that, because we're the ones who are going to hurt more than anybody. Is this mentioned anywhere in Quran? It's mentioned everywhere. Let's see what we can hook up right quick. We sent, do those who devise evil plots feel secure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them up, or that the wrath will not seize them from directions they little perceive, or that we may not call them to the account in the midst of their goings, to and fro without a chance of their frustrating him. In other words, in the midst of all of this fitna that they doing, Allah can call them to account. Or that we may not call them to account by the process of slow wastage. When you watch the media, big bad America, every day the people are laughing at America, right? They're not laughing at the Zionists. They're laughing at America. All the American allies in NATO, even Canada, they said, we don't like you guys anymore. We're going to just charge you so much money to send in there all your butter and cheese. We don't want it anymore unless you pay us a lot. They're best friends, right? They out of NATO, or not out, but they cutting back on everybody and everything. So they want to keep America big and weak so they can manipulate it. They want to keep America big and weak so they can manipulate it. And we want to make America strong again. In a different way, though. I don't want to sound like a pro-American here. But one thing about blacks, they ain't never did nothing to America, right? Arabs ain't never did nothing to America. Pakistanis ain't never did nothing. They so happy to be over here, they still grinning now. You wait one come in the door, he grinning. Happy to be here in America. Right? Nobody that they talk about, that they put on the ban, the Muslim list, have ever did anything to America, especially that they could prove. And everybody that did something, they belonged to the American card. They was carrying an American card in their back, right? All those demonstrators right now, good demonstrators go out, we don't like this. All they saying is, hey, we don't want to get shot. That's not fun, right? Then after they leave, then their homeboys come, and they blame everything on us. That's their homeboys, right? We've been here a long time. We know it, but the Muslims don't know it. They don't know how America works. They think if you just keep your head down, work hard, they'll leave you alone. That's not true. That's not true. Who's been working hard? Who's worked harder in America? Leave slavery out of it. But who's worked harder in America than Negroes? Nobody. Nobody done worked harder. Who done fought harder? You know, during World War II, well, during World War I, y'all heard about 369th, 370, over at the Harlem Hellfighters, all that. They're the most decorated troops in World War I. They had them digging graves. They said the French had lost a whole generation. And they said, hey, are you using those guys? They said, no, you can have them niggas. They took off their American uniform and put on a French uniform. French weapons, French everything, right? And they spent more time in those trenches than anybody, any Americans in World War I, right? Most decorated. In World War II, there was two groups of highly decorated Americans. One was black, right? And the other, the most decorated, was Japanese. Japanese. Their parents was in the camps they had, right? Paradise camps, rest camps, whatever you want to call them. And they was over in Europe fighting for America. They called them Buddha heads. They was the most decorated soldiers in World War II. So nobody ever came from over there, ever came here and did anything to America, right? But now they let the Zionists float in here and do anything they want because of the power of their media, right? The Murdochs, the power of their movies, right? And the weakness of Congress. Have you ever seen anybody as weak as the Congress people are? They ain't gonna do nothing for you because they can't do nothing for you. Okay, we're gonna speed up. Hence, leave me alone with such as give the lie to this tiding. We shall bring them low, step by step, without their perceiving how it has come about. For behold, though I may give them rain for a while, my subtle scheme is exceedingly firm. This is what Allah is saying. Whether we give them a little while from time to time, that we're going to hit them from areas they don't even perceive. Okay, now, nobody's expecting Islamic unity like in the old days. Well, it wasn't unity. But you know, we didn't have a lot of trouble with other Muslims. You notice we've never fought any Muslims. We don't even argue with Muslims. You know why? If we argue with them, we're wasting our time. We're fighting against boss man's homeboys to divert us from him. Right? It's ridiculous. That's why all them knots they put on my head, you didn't see me respond. Why? Because it happened on November the 4th, right? So that's Marg Bag Amrika Day. So somebody was mad about that, right? But we did not respond. It's not cowardice. It's nothing like that. In fact, you got to be serious not to respond when everybody is saying, we knocked them niggas, what's wrong with them niggas? Who's them niggas? What's wrong with them? Right? And everybody want to, absolutely not. We not going to allow. We got Negroes that have masajid around here. The stuff they talk about is not even possible. You know, we're praying over a graveyard. Or I asked a lady who used to live there, I said, is this ever a graveyard? She said, no. This one up on the hill, they moved the graves and stuff like that, but this has never been a graveyard. I said, how long you lived in the house next to her? She said, I was here since I was a baby, 70 years or something. I said, it's never a graveyard. And all other, they say everything except what they used to say about Idi Amin. They said, oh yeah, he was eating little kids and stuff. They don't say that. That's the only thing I haven't heard about this masjid. From the Negroes right over there, you know where they are. They're over there. Why would we not argue with them? Why have we never argued with anybody? We either get along with them or stay away from them. Because if you fight another African American, another Muslim, or another anything in your tribal makeup, they're having you waste your energy fighting against somebody that while you could be fighting him directly. That's why we always on the Zionist. Always on the Zionist, because they're the enemy. It don't make no difference what happens. We are not going to do anything to nobody because they're a sub-enemy, right? They're a pawn. They send them out to divert your energy and use up your power. Okay, let me move toward a close here. So, Allah's plan is subtle, but it's firm. Systems have general periods. Pioneer spirit, when everybody's getting big together, going out, taking stuff from everybody else. Conquest period. Commerce period, when now they become big. You could see this in England. You could see it in the Roman period, all of those. Affluence, they have general affluence. America's period of real affluence was the 50s. They called it the golden 50s. After World War II, man, that was it's a while back, but that was the golden 50s. Now, if you lived down here in Dixie, it wasn't the golden 50s. You made $1 a day picking cotton, stuff like that. But if you was out in California, up in Detroit, you made $2, $3 an hour, right? And you got all kind of benefits. The Negroes out there was buying modern homes and modern cars and everything, you know. That's in the north. So affluence, intellectual, that's when you got libraries and books now, all this stuff. Then there's decadence. You go into a decline. That means that your Congress or your Senate or whatever people, and the rich people get richer and the poor get poorer. Do you know it was a time when the middle class and in America had a 94% tax bracket. If you made over a certain amount, I said, boy, they really, that's how we got to have a little money. Because it came from the war when they had for rich people, they had a 94% tax bracket. Boy, that was knocking them boys over. Now they don't pay no taxes. Don paid $700. Tell the truth. $700. If they had those 94% tax bracket, or 91% tax bracket at one time, hey, you would still have a middle class. Middle class, if you haven't waved it bye-bye, as soon as we leave here, when you see the middle class, wave at them. Like, if you see some Negroes here in D.C., wave at them, say, see y'all later. Because if you move out of D.C., guess what? You can't come back. Everybody know that, right? Everybody know if you move out, you're not getting back because it's too carissimo. It's expensive, right? Too expensive for you to get back in D.C., and this is where we're all from, Southeast. Anyway, by the way, it's not advertisement, but you know we have 8 pieces of property. We got a big lot over here, a couple of big lots, a few houses. We're going to need a lot of help to keep that up. But your Zionist friends have cut us off from all access of money. But we don't care. You just got to get up and get on. And if you starve to death, starve to death. That ain't nothing, right? I mean, maybe it's something to everybody else. Look, maybe history. God told the prophet, oh, I love you. Oh, I love you. He said, watch what you say. Oh, I just love you. I said, well, be ready for poverty. Be ready for struggle, right? if what you're saying is true, right? The same thing about us. In this period about Islam, you have, if everybody is running and hiding, how many khutbahs, if they haven't any, the people are talking about the Zionist Saudi cabal, Zionist American Saudiism. They're not talking about it. If they black and don't know nothing about it, they ought not call themselves an imam. They shouldn't talk in front of nobody because they don't know what's happening, right? This stuff is easy. You can see it. Oh, Don is in there. Don is married. Don's son, the daughter married to this Jewish guy. He's going all over the world. Something is up. Why ain't they saying nothing then? It's clear. There it is, right? The police are using Zionist tactics. Zionist tactics. It's bad enough to get treated like a Negro, but then when you mix in that Palestinianism, that means that ain't nobody care nothing about you. The Zionists killed Palestinians with brutal, unbelievable, well, I guess about the same, but unbelievable. You can't build no house here. Oh, you build a house, they'll tear your house down. For the 10th time, over and over again. Then on the land your grandfather owned, they got tons of new houses and roads that you can't even ride on. Can you imagine? In America, they don't even have Negro roads. Well, Negroes can't ride on this road. Well, they probably got a few. But tell the truth, the Zionists got roads Arabs can't ride on. Okay, you can't get off this road, right? Isn't that right? Unbelievable. Okay. I'm going to close with this. Dear believers, we have a great opportunity here. This is our time. But we have to take our time. We have to live in our time. Nobody's going to give it to us. Throughout history, periods of revolution and transition, this is our time. But you have to do something about it. You can't sit at home flipping that TV and you're going to have a transition. And this is not time for revolution. It's time for evolution, that the human being will evolve. If we can evolve from selling drugs and going crazy, right? And we can get up here and tell you this, you can evolve too, right? That's what's needed, not revolution, but evolution. Let me see where we're at. Historical decline, dual containment. They always do dual containment. I'm going to go back and then I'm going to go on out. Dual containment, control Iraq and control Iran. By how? Having them fight each other. Dual containment, we're not about that. We would rather take their punishment, singular punishment, day in and day out, than to allow them to manipulate into us to fighting somebody else. Right? We're not going to do that. Gulf War, we talked about that. Media manipulation, historical patterns of decline and its stages. I just mentioned a few people. One of the guys that I'm going to mention, we worked together a long time. He was from Iran. And I even took him down to where I brought him here to the masjid, took him down, actually where I was born, way down in Arkansas. Showed him the old place. I said, this was a school, used to be a school here. This was where we used to swim in the bayou and all that. But he went on back home, and we don't hear from him much. The other is a Negro guy. You hear about him sometime. And him and another Iranian, we would be on TV sometime. So we had one program, must have been on Press TV. So I called out, what was that guy? Daniel Pipes, that's right. Yeah, I said, yeah, you talk all that jive. You know, meet me at the university, and, you talk about Imam Musa did this, Imam Musa did that. So I'll see you down there I'm not going to show up because I don't like the way you're talking. He called me niggas, well, not technical niggas, because white folks can't call you a technical nigga and get away with it. But everything else, baboon, loudmouth, you know what I mean, all that stuff. So I said, yeah, meet me down there. And then another guy, all these guys. So I was looking at one of these guys from Manassas. He got my shit out there, Iranian guy. And I was looking at the Negro Mahdi, something other. They was all mad at they were insulted that I was talking to the Zionists like I was talking. I said, so I'm saying to them, why are you mad at me talking to him like that when that's what you should be doing? So it's a lot of stuff going on, dear believers. But anyway, engineered decline, controlled implosion. And I'd like to close with this. Trust in Allah covers a large range of activities. So usually in Scripture, the believers don't have a lot to fight with, right? The believers, this is a general rule. and Allah helps them. This is the only thing we're saying to us. Hey, why not we give it a shot? Right? Give it a shot. And put our life in Allah's hands. Right? This is the constant scriptural reality, that the believers don't have all them tanks and everything, right? The believers have amanta billah, they believe in Allah. They trust in Allah. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. And when they saw a great army getting to take care of them, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. And in Allah, we turn and put our trust. Why don't we get at a try? Boy, I tell you, I'm gonna really close with this, but it would be almost fun to face this monster here and whoop his behind with a Negro cadre. Boy, that'd be fun. Everybody that laughed at you, right? Talk about you, do everything. Right? And then when anybody come over here, they said the reason them niggas ain't nothing because they lazy. Right? You looked all over town for a job, 50,000 jobs. Right? They know they slam your door facing every door. But they tell a couple of guys come over, drive cabs. They don't say nothing. They do everything, keep their mouth shut, then they get a business. They say, you guys are successful. Them niggas is lazy. Right? Tell the truth. They say, everybody, they tell them niggas is lazy. Forget about Reconstruction. Oh, forget about slavery. Forget about paying all the extra taxes. White folks don't even pay as much taxes as Negroes. We pay 12% more taxes than white folks, right? In D.C., of course, I don't believe that. They say white folks in D.C. got 81 times more money than you do. I don't believe that. It don't look like that, but that's what they say. Sometimes they tell the truth. 81 times the money you got in D.C. Anybody else heard that? Of course, that's right. That's what else. Anyway, it would be fun. If you never fought an adversary and either won or survived, you didn't miss a lot of fun. And I'll close with this. Everybody say, I wouldn't want to be no Imam Musa. I know the FBI. I know this, that, the Zionists is trying to whoop him and run him crazy. It's because of them that I'm the happiest guy in this room. You ain't never seen me walking around, oh, poor me. Have you? Tell the truth. Oh, it was so sad the white man did this. The Jews did that, the Zionists. Right? Every time you see me, yeah, man, what's going on? Oh, ain't nothing, right? All the time. Why? Because this is fun. Fun. F-U-N, fun. And it makes you happy that you get a chance. You know the rules. You stand up against the Zionists and the Americans for a couple of days, they get rid of you. So if you're 75 years old, you've been fighting boss man for over 50 years, you're as happy as you can be. Boy, look at here, 75. That was one of my big things, man. If I get to be 75, you think I've been acting crazy. Now, you wait till I get 75. That's what I was saying, which I am now. I said, boy, look at here. That's why I'm talking the way I'm talking now. 75, shoot. And still walking and talking. Everybody got a cane and a crutch and can't see, right? And you talking out the side of your mouth, yeah, boss man, I done whooped you this time, which we have. See, you think we're just here and we haven't had no victories. We're here, it's a victory. Right? Everybody else got 5 million people in their organization, and they ain't said nothing. So you know how happy we are. O Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. Seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. Seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. Seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is beside it. Ameen. A comment.